Alright, YouTube, we're back. Of course, talking some Square Enix. We're talking some Final Fantasy. Got a couple different things to go over today, so let's just hop into it. The Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering collab, something we've talked about a decent amount on the channel here. We haven't talked about it in a while at this point. But I think last time we talked about it, or one of the last times we talked about it, it was about it being a very, very successful set. The most successful set in the entire history of Magic the Gathering. And with how popular the Final Fantasy collab is, it turns out we actually do have some numbers, a monetary value of $200 million that it made in one day. This is according to Hasbro in its Q2 earnings call, which revealed the figure alongside a report that Magic the Gathering revenue grew 23% year over year, in large part thanks to the Final Fantasy release. Per CEO Chris Cox, it brought in more new players in stores over 2 weeks than any other set has in 12 weeks. And in the investor Q&A during the earnings call, Cox answered a question about Final Fantasy's demand correlated to the company's expectations with the following quote, courtesy of Investing.com's transcript. In terms of Final Fantasy and how it met expectations, I'll give you a comparison between two of our biggest universes at the onsets. Lord of the Rings took 6 months to deliver $200 million of revenue. Final Fantasy took 1 day, and we left demand on the table, so we couldn't produce enough. I think we increased production runs on it 4 times pre-release. It was substantially by many, very high double-digit percentages ahead of any other production run we've ever done. Yeah, obviously I don't know much about modern Magic the Gathering. I don't really keep up with that shit. I don't know how big previous sets have been. But you hear from the CEO, Chris Cox himself, that it took half a year for the Lord of the Rings collab that they did to reach $200 million, and it took Final Fantasy 1 day. It is such an astronomical difference, and there's a lot of factors as to why the Final Fantasy set is doing really well. For one, it's like legal, I think, in every format, just about, if not every format. I don't know, that's some of you Magic the Gathering players can correct me on that, but it's something along those lines, right? Like previous sets have been limited to certain formats or something, and this Final Fantasy collab, you can like play it in pretty much everything, so obviously it gets the entire fan base involved. Plus, it's like a really big set. There's like 200 plus cards or something in it, with all kinds of fantastic art, right? And then you also have people that aren't Magic the Gathering players that are Final Fantasy fans that buy some cards. Like, I do like Magic the Gathering a bit. I haven't played in a very long time, but I've bought some singles. I'm not really somebody that buys a lot of product, but I've, went out and bought individual cards that I like. I've bought a few other things, though, from the collaboration, like these Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy deck boxes. Obviously, Tidus and Bahamut from FF10. The FF7 deck boxes and stuff are sold out kind of a lot. I do have, like, a Knights of Round deck box coming. I think it's from the Final Fantasy 14 Knights of the Round, if I'm not mistaken. I also have like the Cloud mat coming, the play mat that you actually like play the cards on and shit. That I'm still waiting on to come in the mail. I bought it from like a website that it was like a pre-order purchase that I didn't realize that that's what it was. So I'm just kind of waiting for them to get it back in stock and then send it to me. But I've bought a few things outside of the card stuff. But it's shit I'll actually use, like these deck boxes and that playmat. Once I get it, like I'll use that to like play some Yu-Gi-Oh or something with the boys. And it'll probably be the only playmat I ever use forever again because it has Cloud on it. It was really cool to see that the Final Fantasy collaboration with Magic the Gathering is doing very, very well, which we already knew months ago that it was like the biggest set ever, even before it actually released. But the fact that it made $200 million in 1 day, it's insane, dude. I'll be interested to see what it's done in like 6 months and a year from now and shit. Magic the Gathering set is certainly a kind of unique situation, but it's an example of why Square Enix should be doing collaboration shit more often, getting their characters to appear in other games, for example, which they don't do enough. And, one that's been talked about for a long time is Tifa and Tekken, right? Like, that's something people have been asking for quite a long time at this point. And if there's anything that's realistically holding that up, it would be Square Enix and probably not, like, the Tekken team or Harada or whatever. Square Enix is notorious for, like, being weird about letting their characters be put into other shit. Which I've never really understood because both sides are going to make money, right? If you have one of your Final Fantasy characters appear in a fighting game, that fighting game's team and company are going to make money, and so is Square Enix. And it's just like, it's a win-win for both. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. You've been talking about getting like fucking character skins in like Fortnite for goddamn ever. Why has that not happened yet, right? Especially whenever like Remake first appeared on PC on the Epic Games Store. Like that seemed like the perfect time to have like a Cloud, Tifa, Sephiroth, whatever, whoever, however many FF7 characters you want to do, like, appear as skins in Fortnite, right? Instead, they did a collaboration with Apex Legends, which, it's a popular, BR. It's a popular game. I don't know how popular it is compared to something like Fortnite and or Warzone, but that collaboration was like shit. We did, a couple of videos on those, I think, where, like, the characters and how they looked and stuff, and, like, the nods to FF7 just weren't that interesting to the majority of us. Plus, I think it was like an expensive like thing to kind of get access to everything if you want to have all the FF7 shit. Whereas when it comes to Fortnite, there definitely are some high prices sometimes, but you just go into the shop, buy the shit. That's all. And unfortunately, I'm kind of a slut for some good skins in a battle royale. I don't know why. I don't know why I care, but I just do. If it's something that's cool, an IP that I like, I'll almost always buy the skin. And this sort of segues a bit into our next topic, which is we had Hamguchi and Kitase meeting with a couple of people from Sandfall, who are, of course, the team behind Expedition 33. So I'm not even going to embarrass myself by attempting to read these names, but Hamguchi says, creators of Expedition 33 visited the Square Enix office for a creatively rich exchange of visions and ideas. So this had people buzzing a bit, because these days when you're talking about Final Fantasy, Expedition 33 gets brought up a lot, right? In the talk of like turn-based and all that other shit and what they should do with the franchise going forward. And to seeing, the people behind Expedition 33 visit the Square Enix offices and talk with like Hamguchi Kitase, it's kind of exciting. I don't think it necessarily means anything, as in like they're not like collaborating to do something or whatever the fuck, because this happens a lot where studios go and visit other studios and shit. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're working together. It's a possibility, I'm sure. But also did visit other studios within the same day, and I only know that because they're wearing the same exact clothes, but they took a picture also with Hideo Kojima. So like it's possible they maybe just visited Japan and kind of went around and visited other studios and shit. That doesn't mean that they're not doing something with those studios, but they might have just been kind of visiting. I don't know. But if we do want to add a little bit of fuel to the fire, they actually did have dinner with Ryusuke Yoshida, which is the director of the Trials of Mana series, and also Naoki Hamaguchi. So maybe they could be cooking something up with Square Enix. Who knows? The other little bit of news that we have is that Square Enix is confirmed for PAX West, which is kind of exciting. I don't think it's really the kind of place where they have like reveals. Like I think they have sort of showcases sometimes there, but I don't know how often like there's a brand new game, worldwide reveal, massive AAA game or some shit like that. I don't know. I don't think that ever really happens. I think it's more of like a showcase for stuff. You can go there and like play games, right? I know Square Enix has been at PAX West before with 7 Remake back in 2019. You could go there and play it. I think, the demo or whatever. I don't recall if they were there in like 2023, maybe to show off like Rebirth or something. I don't remember when the demo started like coming out for that off the top of my head. But if they're going to be there to showcase a game, I assume it would be Killer N, which is just kind of, I don't know. Could they maybe have like a Remake there for the Switch 2 to like playtest or check it out? Is that a possibility? Would they already be doing that? I'm not entirely sure. Are they still working on that? I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe they could still have FF7 stuff there for like a photo op, just like, statues or something to take pictures with. I don't know, whatever. I just want to cover it and let you guys know. In case you were wanting to go to PAX West or you're already going to PAX West, Square Enix will be there. And what capacity? I don't know. If there's like a follow-up for like what they're specifically going to be there for, we might do a video or something. Again, I don't think anything relevant happens at PAX West, so we're not like looking to that event expecting anything for Part 3. I still think probably TGS, maybe Gamescom, as we talked about in a previous video, but TGS is in the same month as the Ever Crisis anniversary, right? Which is what we were kind of told around the time when we might start seeing stuff for Part 3. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to. We're looking to September. We're looking to TGS, but anything before then, if something happens, it's a nice surprise. That's really kind of it for the video, my dude. Just kind of a little news roundup sort of thing, which we don't do those super often anymore. But we kind of do these when the info's light. There's not really anything to talk about currently, but this is still some interesting stuff. I like to see that the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering collab is doing very, very well. I like to see, Expedition 33 devs and Square Enix kind of meet. Maybe that means something. As tap the mic, hell yeah. And then I guess PAX West is exciting if you're going. I don't know if you're excited to play fucking Killer N, but that's maybe what it's going to be. That's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Search in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @SaveYT. That's it. Bye.